Title: Musical note: I used to dream of stages. Instead, I swept streets, humming into the wind with nothing but a cracked guitar and a backpack of regret. For 12 years, I played only for pigeons, until one day, my childhood friend found a dusty USB in an old box, sent it to a label, and within days my inbox was flooded. Turns out, I was never forgotten, just waiting for the right song to echo back. Sun behind small cloud. I used to rehearse in front of a bathroom mirror that was cracked in 2 corners. My audience was toothpaste stains and steam. My backup singers? Creaking floorboards and the hiss of the radiator. Every time I strummed my guitar, I imagined it. The stage lights blooming warm on my shoulders, the hush of a crowd leaning in. It was all I had, all I wanted. Then came life, and it didn't just interrupt, it steamrolled. I was 20 when my mom got sick. Liver failure. Years of quiet drinking we never talked about, until suddenly we couldn't talk about anything else. Insurance covered almost nothing. I sold my car, then my laptop, then my amp. I canceled my community college classes, canceled gigs. Eventually, I canceled my dreams. By 22, she was gone. By 23, I was sleeping in a shelter downtown with a garbage bag of clothes and a broken neck strap on my acoustic. Still played, though. Street corners, subway steps, under overpasses. People dropped change. Some filmed me without asking. Once, a little girl gave me a folded napkin with a smiley face drawn in ketchup. Kept it. I moved a lot, backpack to backpack, couch to couch. 12 years like that. No stage, no spotlight, just sidewalks, alleys, and the wind. The thing is, I never stopped writing. I filled notebook after notebook, lyrics, riffs, full songs. I'd hum them into my cracked Samsung Galaxy, praying the audio wouldn't glitch. I'd back them up when I could. Burned a bunch onto a dusty old USB I found at a library lost and found bin, labeled it Dreams, and tossed it into a shoebox with an old harmonica. A picture of me and Sam at age 12, and a pair of lucky guitar picks I never used. I hadn't seen that box in over a decade. Enter Sam. Sam was the kind of friend you only get once. We'd met in 4th grade after he gave a kid a bloody nose for calling my singing girly. He played drums like his hands were trying to outrun gravity, and he had a laugh that cracked like a firework in a quiet field. We lost touch after high school. He joined the Navy. I stayed home. Life got loud. Turns out, he never stopped wondering what happened to me. He found that box by accident while cleaning out his late grandma's attic. She'd taken in a few of my things when I vanished from the scene. He called me that same night. Said he found a little coffin full of sound. Said he cried when he heard track number 7. He didn't ask. Just sent it to a label he was doing some part-time tech work for in LA. 5 days later, I was in a public library checking my email and thought I was being pranked. 36 unread messages. Subject lines like, urgent inquiry, distribution opportunity, and song 3 could go viral. A producer wrote, your voice sounds like Hurt and Hope had a baby and raised it in a thunderstorm. Another offered me a plane ticket. Another asked if I was already signed. I hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. I read them all twice just to make sure they weren't spam. That night, I called Sam. We didn't talk. We just laughed. I flew to LA a week later. First time on a plane. Wore a button-down I found at Goodwill that still had someone else's name sewn in the collar. They picked me up in a black car. The driver offered me sparkling water. I said I'd take a Sprite if they had it. The studio was everything I'd dreamed of and nothing like I imagined. There were framed platinum records, yes, but also stale coffee and stressed-out interns in ironic t-shirts. Still, when I stepped into the soundproof booth and put on those headphones, I wept. I didn't even try to hide it. The first meeting with the label execs felt surreal. They were polished, grinning. They called me the next viral wave. Said I had the texture of Hurt. They played one of my songs over their system and nodded like they discovered fire. Then came the contract. 30 pages. Buried on page 18 was the clause. All masters and compositions henceforth become sole property of label name. I didn't know what that meant at first, but Sam did. He'd been reading, preparing. He pulled me aside that night, said, they want your soul for a TikTok trend. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to trust. But he was right. We didn't sign. Instead, we found a lawyer. Pro bono, bless her. Said her brother used to play in a punk band and got burned bad. She'd made a promise after that. Her name was Elena. She had pink hair, steel eyes, and knew exactly where to punch a contract until it screamed. The label pushed back hard. Said I was wasting momentum. One exec got nasty, told me there's a million sob stories with guitars. We made you. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I'd survived winter on a bus bench in Cincinnati. I'd eaten from dumpsters behind restaurants too fancy to notice a ghost in the alley. I wasn't giving up my rights for a rented spotlight. We went to court. They tried to outlawyer us. We brought the receipts. My audio files. Timestamped. My notebooks. Witnesses from old open mics. Sam's testimony. Even the email metadata. Every riff. Every lyric. Mine. It took 7 months. 7 months of late-night calls, courtroom exhaustion, and panicked whispers of what if they bury us? But we won. The judge said my work was clearly owned, clearly original, and clearly defended. I walked out of that courthouse with my hands shaking and a smile that cracked something loose in my chest. Sam hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. Elena cried. That night, we buskied on Venice Beach just for fun. Not for rent. Not for food. For joy. And you know what? We made over $400 in tips. People danced. A kid gave me a napkin with a new smiley face. This time it was drawn in blue marker. And I kept it. Edit 1, for those asking, yes, the album is coming. Independently. We're calling it Sidewalk Ghosts. Edit 2, we're producing it ourselves with Sam as co-director and Elena helping with the contracts. No label. Just us. Just music. Edit 3, track number 7? The one that made Sam cry? It's called For the Ones Who Listened Anyway. First single drops next week. Update 1, the world listened and so did the wrong people. We dropped the single at midnight. No press release. No marketing team. Just a SoundCloud link, a 4-sentence Instagram caption, and a photo of me and Sam playing on a rooftop with the skyline behind us, barely lit. By 9 a.m. it had 47,000 plays. By noon, Rolling Stone DM'd us. I'm not exaggerating when I say my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Not out of fear. Not even excitement. Just disbelief. Like I'd stepped into someone else's movie. People were commenting things like, where has this voice been, and it feels like this guy cry into the mic and I'm okay with it. And then, because this world's nothing if not consistent, the tide turned. Fast. Someone from the label leaked the initial contract and spun the story. Claimed we refused fair compensation, called us difficult, ungrateful, not team players. Said we burned bridges just to play indie martyr. A few music bloggers ate it up. Headlines popped up like rot. From viral star to legal nightmare, the downfall of a promising artist. The friend behind the music, is Sam just writing the coattails? They even found an old clip of me getting into a shouting match with a drunk guy on a subway platform from 2016. Edited it to look like I was the aggressor. Added dramatic music. It got over 2 million views. Labels circled again, but this time with claws out. Offers came, but they all smelled like control. One offered a $100,000 advance if we handed over distribution rights for 3 albums. Another wanted full merchandise ownership. We said no. Every time. And every time we did, the noise got louder. Then came the takedown requests. The label claimed the old demo files on the USB were developed under implied partnership. They filed a temporary injunction to pull the single down. Overnight, For the Ones Who Listened Anyway vanished from every streaming platform except Bandcamp. We lawyered up again. Elena went full shark. Filed a countersuit. Filed a cease and desist against the exec who leaked our contract. She even went on a podcast and shredded them live on air. You can't retroactively manufacture ownership just because someone you ignored turned out to be valuable, she said. This is legal necromancy and it won't work. Fans rallied. Our Bandcamp crashed twice from traffic. Someone started a GoFundMe to support our legal fight. It hit $14,000 in 3 days. We didn't touch a cent, donated it to a nonprofit that gives free legal aid to indie musicians. But not everyone was cheering. Caleb, old friend from high school, used to play bass with me in our garage band. We hadn't spoken in years. Suddenly he's tweeting things like, funny how some people make it and forget the ones who helped them sound decent. He went on TikTok live and straight up said he helped write at least 4 of the songs. Claimed I left him behind when things got tough. Only issue? He never wrote a bar in his life. We posted receipts. Full lyric sheets with dates, videos of solo gigs from back then, screenshots of emails I'd sent myself with song drafts. Didn't matter. By week 2, I was trending for all the wrong reasons. Hashtag stolen sound. Hashtag Sam the real talent. Hashtag USB scam. And in the middle of all this, Sam's mom died. Cancer. Stage 4. No warning. We were in the middle of editing a video for the next single when he got the call. I still remember how his face didn't move for the first 10 seconds. Then he crumpled like paper. We paused everything. Flew back to his hometown. Stayed in his childhood room surrounded by old posters and that same drum pad he used to practice on in 4th grade. At the funeral, someone whispered behind us, must be nice for her son to be famous now. Like grief was a networking opportunity. Sam didn't speak much those 2 weeks. He just stared at old VHS tapes of her singing along to the radio while cooking. When we got back to LA, I thought he'd want to quit. Walk away. Instead, he looked at me and said, let's finish the album. And let's make it hers. So we did. We worked from sunrise to blackout. No producers. Just us. Elena's cousin let us use his garage studio for free. We recorded vocals under flickering LED strips and used a cardboard box as a makeshift amp muffler. And on the night we finally mastered the album, Sam added one last track. Track 14. A voicemail from his mom. Just her humming along to an early demo of our song, crackling through speaker static. We called the album Stay Loud. 2 days before release, the court finally ruled. The injunction was dropped. The label had no claim. Not on the USB. Not on the songs. Not on my voice. Not on my story. It was ours again. We uploaded Stay Loud to every platform at midnight. Spotify glitched. Apple Music crashed for some users. We were number 6 in singer-songwriter charts within 48 hours. But none of that mattered as much as the message Sam got from a girl in Ohio. I was gonna quit music school. Everyone said my stuff was too weird, too slow, too soft. But your album made me want to stay loud. We printed it out, taped it to the studio wall. And then, we went outside and played on the sidewalk again. Not for money. Just to remind ourselves what it sounded like before the world had rules. Edit 1. Yeah, track 14 is real. It's raw. It's not cleaned. We left the static in on purpose. Edit 2. We've been invited to perform at a small NPR Tiny Desk session next month. No stylists. No script. Just us. And maybe a napkin drawing if we're lucky. Edit 3. Elena's starting her own agency for indie artists. We're her first clients. Update 2. We didn't win a Grammy. We got something better. But it almost cost me my best friend. 6 weeks after Stay Loud dropped, we got invited to the Union Stagecraft Awards. You probably haven't heard of them. Most people haven't. It's not televised. No red carpet. No paparazzi. Just a small ceremony in a historic theater with creaky floors and paper programs folded by volunteers. It's for indie musicians, buskers, underground producers, and the kind of sound engineers who sleep under mixing boards to make rent. We were nominated for Best Self-Produced Album. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't think we were supposed to be there. Sam almost didn't go. Said it felt weird to get dressed up for a thing we built in a garage with a broken space heater and a $40 mic. But we did. We borrowed jackets from a thrift store that smelled like attic and mothballs. Elena came with us, wore a jumpsuit and Doc Martens, and looked like she'd sue anyone who stared too long. When they read our names, I froze. My stomach curled. I didn't even realize we were walking until I was on the stage, gripping a little glass plaque that felt heavier than it looked. Sam whispered, "Say something, man." So I did. I didn't thank the industry. I didn't name drop. I just said, to anyone singing into a phone mic while the neighbors scream at you to shut up, keep going. This isn't about the finish line. It's about the echo. The room clapped. Quiet. Honest. No spotlights. No drama. It felt real. And then real life came crashing back in. 2 days later, we got served. Cease and desist. Caleb, the same guy from high school who'd accused us of stealing, had lawyered up. Claimed copyright infringement. Said he had proof he'd co-written 3 songs on Stay Loud. The lawsuit was a mess. Full of vague language and weak evidence. He submitted an old-school flyer with both our names on it, a screenshot of a MySpace message, and a grainy video of us jamming during lunch break junior year. Elena was livid. This is legal posturing. He doesn't want credit. He wants a settlement. But the damage wasn't just legal. It hit Sam hard. He started withdrawing. Missed rehearsals. Turned his phone off for days. One night I found him alone in our makeshift studio, just tapping the same drum loop over and over. I asked him what was going on. He didn't look up. He's not the only one who thinks it, Sam said quietly. People keep saying I'm just the friend. That you're the star. That I'm backup noise. It gutted me. Because none of this works without him. He was the first one who ever saw me. Whoever believed I wasn't just background sound in a loud world. Every note I've played, I imagined him beside me. Every lyric I wrote, I could hear his kick drum in my chest. I don't want the spotlight, he said. I just don't want to be erased. I sat next to him on the floor, back against the amp. You're not the friend behind the music, I said. You're the rhythm in it. You're the reason any of it holds together. He didn't say anything for a while. Then he said, I miss my mom. And that was the crack. The one he'd been hiding under music and microphones and project files labeled Fix and later 32. We took a break. Not from the music, just from the machine. No interviews. No gigs. No chasing the algorithm. We took her ashes to a quiet lake she used to visit. Spread them with no soundtrack. No speech. Just wind and water and 2 sons, one by blood, one by love. We came back clearer. Elena crushed the lawsuit. Found old emails where Caleb had written, Dude, your lyrics always mess me up. Like you're writing straight from my insides. And another one where he said, I wish I could write like that. We submitted those. The judge dismissed the case before it hit discovery. Caleb tried to stir drama on socials. Posted vague sad boy nonsense and cryptic quotes. But by then, the noise had moved on. So did we. We started playing small venues. Coffee shops. Libraries. A high school gym in Denver that let us set up during their lunch period. We didn't charge. Just played. Met people. Shared stories. One night in Portland, this kid approached us after the set. Looked maybe 17. He said he played our voicemail track, Sam's mom, every night before bed. Said it made him feel like someone somewhere might understand the kind of mom he had, even if she was gone too. Sam gave him a signed drumstick. We don't do that often. It's kind of a rule. But this kid? He needed a heartbeat in his hand. A few weeks later, we got an email from the curator of a small indie museum in Seattle. They were opening a new exhibit on the evolution of underground music in the 21st century. They asked if we'd be willing to donate something. We sent them the USB. The original. The one Sam found. We mounted it in a frame with a note. Every echo starts somewhere. This was ours. We still play street corners. Not because we have to, because we want to, because we promised ourselves we'd never forget the pigeons. Edit 1. We've started a mentorship group for young artists with no label, no money, and no clue where to start. First Zoom session next Sunday. Edit 2. Sam and I co-wrote a book. It's called Sidewalks and Stages. How to Stay Loud in a World That Wants You Quiet. Early draft, but we're working on it. Edit 3. No label. Still independent. Still together. Update 3. I swore I'd never go back to Cincinnati. Until I saw her in the front row. The tour started small on purpose. Sam and I didn't want stadiums. No promoters. Just bar stages, rec center lights, and folding chairs full of real people. Every town meant something. Every stop had its ghosts. But I'd circled one date in my notebook since the day we booked it. Cincinnati. I hadn't been back in almost a decade. Not since I spent 9 straight months living in the back alley of a closed-down Chinese buffet, busking by the Fountain Square subway stairs for pocket change and food truck scraps. Cincinnati was the first place I ever admitted out loud that I might not make it. Sam knew. He didn't push. Just said, "We can skip it." But I couldn't. I needed to stand in that city again, this time with music that echoed. The venue was a converted bowling alley downtown called The Lantern. 70-year-old wood. No green room. A busted neon exit sign above the merch table. It smelled like mop water and cheap beer and pride. It was perfect. The crowd that night was full of people who knew my songs better than I did. They sang every lyric back like they'd lived them. I saw kids in thrifted band shirts and parents with tired eyes holding up lighters like it was 1998. Then I got to track 7. The one from the USB. The one I wrote in the waiting room of the ICU the night before my mom died. And I saw her. Front row. Khaki coat. Dark curls. Same posture. Same furrowed brow. For a split second, I forgot the truth. My breath stopped. My fingers stumbled. Because for half a heartbeat, I believed it was her. My mom. The same woman I watched fade in a hospice bed at 20. The woman whose funeral I couldn't afford flowers for. The woman who'd once told me my voice was a beautiful kind of sad. But it wasn't her. Of course it wasn't her. She was gone. This woman, she was someone else. Familiar but not family. It hit me mid-song. Mrs. Kravitz. Our old neighbor. Lived 2 doors down. Always ignored me. Told her own son not to waste time with weirdos who think they're musicians. And now she was front row. Tearing up. Mouthing the words to a song I wrote while sleeping in her neighborhood's gutter. After the set, she waited near the exit. Didn't approach right away. Just lingered. When the crowd thinned, she stepped up and said, "I don't know if you remember me." "I do," I said. She looked ashamed. "I didn't know you were still playing. When I saw your name on the flyer. I wasn't sure if it was really you." I nodded. She pulled out something folded. "A napkin. I found this in the alley years ago," she said. "Had your writing on it. Lyrics. You must have dropped it. I kept it." She handed it to me. "My handwriting. Faded. If nobody hears you, scream softer. Until it's beautiful." I stared at it. "Why are you here?" I asked. She looked down. "Because I wanted to say I'm sorry. You used to play right under my window. I never listened. And now I can't stop." That hit harder than I expected. Not because it was her, but because it was someone. Someone who used to treat me like I didn't matter, now hearing me in surround sound. I didn't forgive her. But I took the napkin. Because even late echoes matter. Backstage, Sam looked at me. "You good?" "Yeah," I said. "Weird good." We drove through the night to St. Louis. In the glove compartment, a harmonica from Louisville, a cracked USB from a library bin, and now a napkin from someone who finally listened. Edit 1. To clarify, yes, my mom passed years ago. The woman in the crowd looked like her. For one second, I thought it was her. It wasn't. But that feeling? That crack in reality? I'll never forget it. Edit 2. That napkin's now pinned to our studio wall next to the tour map. Title above it says Late Listeners. Edit 3. Next stop Boise. The smallest venue of the tour. Seats 42. Can't wait. Final update. Echo Base is open. And the song that started everything finally found its stage. We opened the doors at 5 p.m. Echo Base? Our first real studio. Not a garage. Not a borrowed room. Not a van with a sleeping bag duct taped to the wall. A real studio. It took 6 months, dozens of fans volunteering labor, Elena negotiating down rent like a chess player on fire, and Sam and me building shelves by hand because we couldn't afford custom carpentry. We kept the walls bare. Just acoustic foam and sunlight. On one corner wall, we framed the original napkin, the ketchup smiley from that kid who tipped me while I was playing in the park. Right below it, the cracked USB. And on the door, a sign in marker. We listen. Hard. The opening night wasn't a red carpet. It was pizza in the lobby and folding chairs and a half-broken keyboard someone found in a thrift shop. But it was full. 39 people packed in to hear us play track 14 for the first time, live. If you followed this far, you know the story. It was the voicemail Sam's mom left layered into a soft chord progression we built in the middle of a thunderstorm. We never felt ready to perform it. That night, Sam looked at me and said, "It's time." So we played. No lights. No intro. Just a hush. A thump of breath. And then her voice crackling through speakers like she was calling us from somewhere between the past and a prayer. You could hear the room holding its breath. No phones. No clapping. Just tears and quiet. When it ended, no one said a word. They didn't have to. After that, one of the kids we'd mentored came up. His name's Miguel. 17. Records vocals in his grandma's basement while she's at bingo. Writes lyrics like they're telegrams from a drowning heart. He handed us a CD. Burned. Sharp as scribbled across the top, Echo Test 1. We played it right there. No mix. No polish. Just real. And he was good. Really good. I turned to Sam. "You hear that?" He smiled. "I do now. We're going to help him produce his first EP. Not because it's business. Because it's right. Because no one handed us the stage. We stole it back note by note. And now? We're making more room on it. If you've read this far, thank you. If you send a DM saying our music helped you cry, helped you heal, helped you scream softer, thank you more. This isn't a comeback story. It's not even a music story, really. It's a friendship story. About a kid with a cracked guitar and a best friend with a broken snare drum and no plan, who decided to make noise anyway. And in the end, people listened. Not millions. Not always. But enough. And when we play that voicemail live, we're not asking you to clap. We're asking you to remember who listened when no one else did. And to be that for someone. Edit, the studio plaque reads, "For the ones who kept playing when no one clapped. You're not forgotten. You're just waiting for the right song to echo back."